The stigma attached to taking an L these days is just toxic. It's bad. It's gonna keep you stuck. If you're worried about taking L's, you're not gonna get anywhere.
LOLO BX.
For f***'s sake, mate. If you can hear that, it's just my neighbor revving the f*** out of his race car. Legend. What's up? It's LOLO BX on this episode of
Just the tip.
I'm gonna talk about how to turn L's into W's. That's pretty lame. I shouldn't even have to say that, but I do. Basically how to overcome setbacks, and most of it comes down to reframing the way you think about things, which is really the case with most things I've found in life. Most challenges or things that we think are challenges can generally just do with a slight reframe, change the way you look at things, change your perspective, and it can change the outcome. Not only that, but it usually changes your enjoyment and makes you just happier and enjoy the process a lot more, which ultimately is what we want and is the best thing that can happen. So I don't really care who you are, how big you get, you're always going to encounter setbacks, speed bumps, take L's, get humiliated in front of other people. It's just life. And especially if you're putting yourself out there as an artist, which I assume you are if you're watching this video, you're gonna take L's along the way and it's gonna suck. It always does. It's not really fun, but it's not the end of the world, and it never is. And you should never shy away from taking the L. You shouldn't really let it cripple you from acting, putting yourself out there or trying new things, aiming for a bar up here. You don't really need me to tell you the same thing that 1,000 people have told you before. Stop worrying what other people think. But it's easier said than done, I know. Usually if we just tweak the way we look at things and really sort of analyze our approach to things and realize why it's really stupid a lot of times, and things like that really don't matter. So I honestly think today's society, our fascination with taking L's, or people's need to call out other people for taking an L, it's just toxic and it's only holding you back. Pretty much any negative comment you see on social media is coming from a person who's doing nothing. It's the whole crabs in a bucket scenario. The second that one crab starts to climb up above the rest to escape the bucket, the others yank him back down. That's really, I guess, used as a metaphor for life, and it's also called tall poppy syndrome. If anyone climbs too high, we tend to cut them down so they remain on our level. I'm no psychologist, but I really think it just comes down to society's conditioning, and people have really been conditioned to believe that their dreams are stupid and that they're unattainable and they're unrealistic and they shouldn't even try. They get good grades, they get a good job, and they get stuck in a job that they hate, and they think that they have to do that 5 days a week and come home and rinse and repeat for the rest of their life. So the second that they see someone that's trying to do something outside of that, they want to cut them straight down, because their initial thought is, how dare they do that when I can't do that? Don't they know that that's unrealistic? Don't they know that they're just being stupid? That's the first thought that just goes through their head when they see someone trying to do something outside the norm, and their first reaction is to be like, oh well, that person's not that great. Like, what? Who do they think they are? And they start to talk shit with their friends, like, oh, did you see such and such started a YouTube channel? Did you see this guy thinks he's a musician now? Do you see this guy thinks he's a DJ now? Oh my, he sucks. Newsflash, everybody sucks when they start. Just because someone is brave enough to put whatever they've created out there in the public doesn't mean that that person thinks that they're amazing, or that they think that whatever they've created is perfect. It's usually the exact opposite. It's usually the fact that the person just likes doing it. That person might have picked up a guitar and said, this is awesome, this is fun. I love writing music. When you write music, what's the next natural step? Record the music, put the music online. They don't think that they're gonna be the next Ed Sheeran just because they started playing the guitar. And the old bottom feeders that are too scared to do anything with their lives, natural reaction is to cut them down. You see it all the time on social media. Anyone that talks shit on social media, 9 times out of 10 is one of those people. Even if they don't realize it yet, that'll probably trigger someone. You've probably left negative comments on other things. I have as well. We're all guilty of it to some point. When you really understand the mechanics behind it, sometimes you got to question yourself and be like, well, really, if I've got nothing nice to say, I shouldn't be writing a comment at all. If the person that's just taking their first step of putting themselves out there receives all this hate, and if they let that hate get to them, that might discourage them from doing anything else ever again. And no successful person, no matter how good they are, started off brilliant. Everybody went through a learning curve. So you might have just up this person's chance of becoming somebody. I'm not saying you should blow smoke up the backside of all your friends that decide to try something. By all means, be polite and be nice. You don't need to lie to them and tell them they're the next best thing. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I just personally think that today's society's obsession with branding L's and calling people out for taking L's is just counterproductive, and it's holding you back. It's holding everybody back because everybody's too scared to do something. You really got to get over that. We've really got to shift our perspective. You can't change everybody else's mind, but you shouldn't really be worrying about things that you can't control. You need to worry about yourself and the way you view things and what you let affect you and your approach to life in general. Don't let the shit get to you and you'll get a lot further. And the funny thing is, such a big stigma is attached to taking an L when it's in fact the exact opposite. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, said, "The key to success is failure." I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over again in my career, and that is why I succeeded. If that doesn't say it, I don't know what else does. You need to take L's. They're a part of the process. The more L's you take, the further you get in your journey. You can't be scared of taking an L. You can't worry about other people calling you out for taking an L. The fact that they think that L is a negative shows that they're a freaking idiot. Who cares? That's what my problem is with society. We don't realize that loss is a lesson. You learn from that. You learn what not to do next time. When you come to a crossroads, you don't know which path to take. If you take the wrong path, next time you come to the crossroad, you're going to take the right path, and then you're going to go further. That's just how the journey goes. Like, I don't really have to explain the ins and outs of these sorts of things. Hopefully this changes your opinion on the matter. We need L's. We need to take as many L's as we can, especially while you're young, and especially when you've got a lot less to lose. You can afford to make mistakes and learn from them, and you build a stronger foundation. How many times have you heard someone say, "Such and such was the best thing that ever happened to me," when they're referring to a negative event? You'd pretty much ask anyone about the worst thing that's ever happened to them, obviously apart from a serious tragedy that you can't work your way back from. Things that seem like the end of the world at the time usually turn you into the person that you are today. Without getting too cheesy about it and saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that's pretty much exactly what I'm trying to say. When you look back and realize that the path that you took is the reason you got to where you are in this very moment, you can't help but say, well, that's the best thing that ever happened to me, because God knows what would have happened if it didn't. And you look back at the things that you've learned and the things that you've changed in your process along the way, and you look at the positives that have come from that. It usually is. And it's actually a great mindset activity to say that about anything that happens, and to have that mentality throughout the day and throughout your life, that anything that happens to me in any given moment is the best thing that possibly could happen to me. I'm sure you can look back on your journey and your life and look at something that you thought really, really sucked at the time, and you laugh about it now, and you look at positives that come from it. It's the same with everything. In the moment it sucks, and when you're looking forward to the future at things you might fail at, it sucks as well. If you really break it down, we know that nothing bad can really happen. And not to mention, there's the opportunity to create something good out of something bad. There's 1,000 things that have happened to me that I've done this with, but one example is I got a remix opportunity for Grand Theft on Mad Decent. It was a couple of years back now. My manager at the time hooked it up, got the stems, made the remix, really loved how my remix turned out, and then all of a sudden the remix pack gets released without us even hearing about it, and my remix not on there. I was just like, oh My manager hit up Mad Decent. They were like, we didn't know that Lolo was doing a remix. Anyway, got lost in translation along the line somewhere. What came from that was Mad Decent was hella apologetic, and they were like, feel free to release it as a free download and we'll repost it, support it, blah, blah, blah. So we did that. I put my own little spin on the artwork, so it was like branded. It looked a little bit different to all the other remixes on the remix pack. As soon as I uploaded it, Mad Decent reposted it, Grand Theft reposted it. It blew up. I think it got like 40,000 streams on SoundCloud in the first 24 hours, which was absolutely ridiculous for me and someone my size. I think we put it out maybe a week after the official remixes. I think it was like something after the first day, my remix had more plays than the most popular remix on the official release. And if you look back at it, if I was included on the official release, I would have been probably the smallest artist, the smallest name on there. I probably would have been the last track on the pack, which is fair enough because I'm a nobody. My remix would have been lost in the noise. Like, it would have been one of 11. And at the time I was like, this was the best opportunity that I've had so far, an official remix for Mad Decent, and it had just been snatched away from me. That shit sucked. But we managed to turn it into a positive. We got the support, we got to put it out as a standalone free download, and it ended up doing better numbers than all the official remixes. Like, that's just one example on how you can turn a negative into a positive, and how a negative can ultimately become a positive all on its own accord, which is why you should always just go into things with an open mind. Just always do the best you can do. Don't worry about things that are out of your control. Never be scared to put yourself out there. Do what you love, do what you enjoy doing, put it out. Who cares if anyone says anything negative about it? As I said, chances are anyone making negative comments on anything you do is probably a nobody, and is probably just deep down pissed off that they're not doing anything. They hate seeing someone else that's trying to do something. Like I said, that will trigger these people even hearing this. Really, like, if you've got nothing nice to say about something, don't say it at all. Who cares? Don't waste the energy. Comment. There's music I see posted online, I have a listen to it. It's not my thing. I don't go in the comments and be like, this sucks. Somebody's put their heart into that, like that's their thing. There's thousands of people that enjoy it. Who am I to comment, oh, I hate this song? Like, it's just bad energy. And if you call anybody out for doing that, there's the whole, if you're gonna put yourself out on the internet, you open yourself up to negative comments. Congratulations, I'm now dumber for having read that comment. Honestly, if you see someone walking down the street, do you go up to their face and say, I hate your outfit, that outfit sucks? No. Stop! Oh, well, if you're gonna be walking down the street, you need to be prepared for some negative feedback. How f***ing dumb is that? In any society in the world, if you did that to someone on the street, you are a dick. The same goes for comments. You're a dick, just don't do it. And if someone does do it, just know that they're a dick. Who cares? Once you drop your worry about what everybody else thinks, the L is no longer a loss, it becomes a lesson. Just something to learn from and no big deal. Another big setback that I had was basically my whole team dissolved around me. My manager and my agent both sort of had to step away from their respective agencies at the time to do their own thing. And I was there like, well, there goes the person that got me gigs and the person that got me all the other opportunities. I'm on my own. But that thought didn't last long, because if you sit and dwell on how hard done by you are, you get nowhere. Ultimately, when that happened, I had to look inward and be like, all right, so what can I do? How can I make this work to my benefit? And that's when I really started looking at my process and how I was approaching my music making. And I really realized that I wasn't finishing enough music to actually be able to do anything with a music career. So that was the first thing that I needed to do, is work out why, and work out how I can improve where I was and how I can improve my productivity. And not only that, but improve the enjoyment that I got from the process and my mindset around the whole thing. So it just became something that I love to do, and I do it because I love doing it, and nothing else really mattered. And that would not have come about if I didn't lose my team. So that's what happened there. Now I'm in the great place where I've just finished a heap of music that I was sitting on for years. I've got all these other styles of music. Like last week, I just wrapped up a 6-track punk EP that I wrote and demoed the guitar, drums, bass, and vocals for. I don't know if anything will ever happen with it. I might get my old band back together and make something for old time's sake. I don't really have anything to show for my days back in bands as a teenager, so that will be cool. I've got all this LOLO music ready to put out. I've got like a whole new direction that I want to take LOLO in, that I've started demoing the music for. I've also got all of these sort of solo project songs that I've been writing over the last few years. I had a look at the project folder and I was like, there's like a whole album's worth of content here that's finished. Like it's all written, it's just not polished, and I might need to redo the vocals for this and that. And so there's all that stuff, and I'm actually just having fun making music. And I look around me like, what? Like I don't really need any more than this. Like I don't really need fame. I don't need to be on tour all the time. Like I enjoy being in my home studio here making music. That's what I get happiness out of. I've got this studio here set up with everything that I need. I really don't need anything more, and I'm just really enjoying making music, which is ultimately what it's all about. I wouldn't be in such a great place if all of these things didn't happen in the lead up that sort of snowballed and got me to the point where I had to really look around and analyze where I was, why I was there, and how I could get out of there, and learn all of these things, which I'm hopefully sharing with you guys one at a time through video format. So I think that's about it. I don't know if this is even going to make sense. It might be a whole bunch of incoherent rambling nonsense, but hopefully you get something out of it. If you did, hit the like button, the subs down there if you haven't hit that yet, hit the bell to get notified whenever I upload stuff, because as I said, I got all these ideas to share in video format. There's also a blog post below with all of these points laid out in blog detail. That's about it from me. Until next time, peace.
LOLO BX. Gucci bandana like I'm 2 Chainz.